Howdy folks, welcome back. Thought we could try something a little bit different. This is an Oliver TC something crawler loader, and the loader's missing obviously. As far as I know, it hasn't run for 13 years. And it's been sitting in a barn that whole time. They just pulled it out, I guess this morning, and we're going to try to get it running and driving. Now 13 years ago, the engine was taken apart and the head gasket was replaced. But now there's no coolant in it, so he's worried that it might have failed again just from sitting. I don't know. We're gonna pop the drain plug out, I think, and see what we can figure out. This is a 3-cylinder gasoline Hercules engine, and it's been converted over to 12 volt. So there's your little three-pot distributor there. It's got a Delco alternator and the solenoid here for the starter. The carburetor, I'm not sure on. He said he actually built one of the jets for it, but he's got a factory replacement for that, so we're going to get into that. And then it only steers in one direction. So these machines have what they call a spot turn, which is some kind of a complicated differential steering system, and it doesn't work on one side. So if we get it running, we got to figure that out. Anyway, cute little machine. Undercarriage seems to be in pretty good shape. Look at the sprockets. And the pins are, I think, pretty tight, except for the master pin here. But yeah, looks good. And it's been stored inside, so I think we've got a pretty good chance at it. But I think first things first, let's pop that drain plug out and see if we've got any coolant in the oil. So I'm not sure about that. And check it out. I actually brought my own luxury accommodations this time. And I'm sorry, there's going to be some wind noise, guys. It's pretty windy out, and I forgot to bring my external mic. Alright, looks like it's a 3/8. I don't see any kind of a belly pan or skid pan on this, which is interesting. Sure looks like oil to me. Yeah, I don't see any water in that. I mean, it doesn't feel watery. So it's way over full on oil, which is why I think he thought that the head gasket was bad. He thought it was full of coolant, but I don't think that's the case. It may be full of fuel, but let's see if we can get some signs of life out of it. And if it's got spark, we'll try to start it up, and I'll go ahead and drain the oil and change it out real quick. Somehow I forgot to bring a battery. So that's not very smart. And I forgot to bring my jumper cables. But I brought a battery charger, so, you know, that'll help us a lot out here where there's no power. Gingerly take this positive cable off, because there's still power there. Okay, well, we got something. See, the starter's got an open armature, so I don't know. Yep. Alright, well that thing's pretty cruddy. Let me see if I can turn it over by hand. Alright, I think the problem's not the brushes, it's in this bar. So if I go right here, got power there, but if I go on the stud, nothing. So let's pop that guy off there and see what we can do. Oh, it's loose. Guess that's all it needed. Okay. Well, she's got compression. Blew the cap right off the exhaust. See if we got any kind of sparkage here. So we should have power there. Key on. We do. Now, if the points are working, can you guys see that? Now if the points are working, when I crank it, we should see the light flicker. And they do not. So we better clean the points. Ooh. Boy, the inside of that cap's pretty rough. Pretty rough. So standard Delco ignition system on this guy. Yeah, we're looking pretty nasty on the points. Okay, the points are clean, just a little corrosion from sitting, and the gap looks right on. I think it's supposed to be 20 thousandths. So that's good. I'm going to try to clean up this cap. The cap is pretty bad inside. So I'll just try to clean these posts a little bit and we'll see what we can do. The spark plug wires have also pretty well had it. You guys won't be able to see this, but it's got spark, real faint. Yeah. Let's see if she'll pop. Oh yeah, she wants to run. Let's mess around with that carburetor a little bit, see if she'll go. Alright, here we go. Fuel. Got the throttle linkage freed up. A little bit of choke. Let's see what she does. Well, it tried to go. Let her sit for a minute. Might have flooded it. Too easy. Run with the choke off. there you go. Pretty easy. She wants to run. Got the oil draining out of it now. Just topped off the coolant. I don't have an oil filter, so we're gonna let that ride for now. He said he just changed it before he put it in storage. So yeah, runs pretty good. These spark plug wires are falling apart, but other than that, I think we got all 3 cylinders. So yeah, cool. Got to figure out where the water is going, but I don't think it's going into the engine block. So that's good news. Boy, I don't see any sign of coolant or water in the oil, so that's good. And it looks pretty good, really. Probably could have just left it. A floor mat or rug or something?
Yeah, take the rug out there. Here.
Thank you.
With,
Hey, buddy.
it has to have a signal, 12-volt signal to work.
Well, should we drive it?
Want me to drive it?
You're the driver.
Get up.
We might have to tune this carburetor a little bit, but... Oh, come here, pup.
Back.
Hey, come here.
Down. Get down.
Doesn't get much better than that. Needs a clutch adjusted, I think. Pretty fast. He said that's actually one of the problems with these machines. They're geared so high that they're not really useful as a crawler. They were designed for field work. It's so smooth. Got a 3-cylinder, it's so smooth.
Yeah, really tight. Perkins diesel idle looks like this. I mean, it's smooth when it's running and working, but at idle it just shakes. This doesn't shake at all. Temperature gauge came up.
Yeah, you must have got it warmed up. It's smoking a little out of the breather.
180 maybe.
Yeah, thermostat might be stuck. Is it charging?
Don't know.
Oh, well, cool. You're all right. Yeah, the problem is I don't think it's driving on the one clutch, or the one track, so it's going to want to go off to the side as it comes up the ramp. You have to give it some English. Okay. Well, because the rear axle is screwed up, it's only actually driving with one track, or putting power to one track. So as soon as it gets on the incline, it just wants to turn off to one side. So we're going to pull it with another tractor, see how that goes. Of course, the easy way would be to just winch it up on the rollback, but some smart guy decided to sell it. Probably don't try this at home. Hang on.
Got it neutral.
That's good.
Looked like it ran out of gas.
I didn't turn the pump on.
Oh.
That's good enough. It's on there.
Yeah.
What do you think, kiddo?
Good. It's just a long time to get this to go.
Alright guys, made it back to the shop, no problem. This thing's pretty light. I think without the belly pan and the loader and the counterweights and stuff on it, I'd be surprised if it even weighs 2 tons. So no big deal there. You can kind of see now what we're up against on the rear end. It's been leaking oil, and you can see where the sprocket's rubbing against this final drive housing. So probably some kind of bearing or something in here is worn out, and the whole sprocket is leaned over, kind of cambered over. And then check this out. They must have wanted to get this cover off to pull the axle shaft out, and they didn't want to pull the sprocket, so they just fixed it by torching a hole in the sprocket here for the cover to come out. Now the other side looks better. I don't see any leaks. Looks like we do have some challenges ahead with the track adjusters. Somebody's welded a nut on here, and looks like there's been some pipe wrenches involved. I'm sure those threads are all seized up, so that'll be fun. I think he told me that he has new bolts for this. He made new bolts for the adjusters, so that's probably good. So the tracks are sagging quite a bit. They're pretty loose. It definitely needs to be tightened, but I think we're going to have to split the tracks to fix the final drives. So we'll deal with that when the time comes. And I'm sure this one's been off before, because I don't think they would have used, you know, window caulking from the factory. I don't really know how this system works. I know Oliver has two different types of steering clutches. I believe there's what they call power turn, which is a planetary system where the tracks both get power all the time, even when they're turning. Just one goes slower and the other one goes faster. And then there's what they call spot turn, which is more like a normal crawler where it stops one side and sends all the power to the opposite side. I think this is a spot turn system, but I really don't know. So we'll let that drain for a little bit, and then we'll pop that cover off. Well, here's the diagnostic plan. I've lifted the whole machine up and put it on some stands. I'm going to start the engine, put it in gear, run it real slow, and then we're going to pull those clutch levers and just watch what's going on inside here and see if we can make heads or tails of it. Okay, well that's not quite what I expected. I think what's happening is one of the clutches is slipping all the time and the other one is not slipping at all. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think so. So I think that these roller cams over here are supposed to disengage the clutch. So when you pull the brake band, it should roll that roller up onto that ramp and disengage the clutch. That's not happening on either side, but I think because the one side is slipping, it's allowing you to turn only towards the side that slips all the time. So yeah, that's my thought anyway. I don't know if there's any way to adjust that. I need a manual and I don't have one, so that's probably the next step. Alright guys, I was able to get a hold of a service manual and it makes a little more sense now. So these are cam actuated clutches. So inside this drum is a multi-disc clutch here. There's a couple of big Belleville washers, you know, spring washers, kind of like a PTO clutch or an automatic transmission. And there's no adjustment without taking them apart. They're done with internal shims. So I don't think we really have any choice except to pull this whole steering clutch unit out of here. And that's no small job. Because in order to get the clutches out, you have to pull the final drives. Which means we have to split the tracks. There's a master pin somewhere. We'll find that, drive it out, split the tracks off. Then we have to drop the track frames, and that'll give us access to the sprockets and final drives. And then I don't know about this inner frame here. That's like the loader frame, I guess, or maybe that's part of the track frame. Anyway, it looks like somebody's already done some carving in here with a cutting torch. So they probably had this apart before and they just whittled this material out so they could slide the final drive out without removing this frame. So if they did that once before, we should be able to do it again. Anyway, once the final drives are out, you know, so that'll pull this whole inner portion in here with the bearings and everything on it. Then we can just take the brake bands off and tumble this whole unit out the back. But it's a major job. Essentially got to take the whole machine apart to get that stuff out of there. And then once the clutch packs are out, we should be able to, you know, relieve the spring pressure, take the snap rings out, and then see what we're dealing with. But I don't see any way to do anything with it in the machine. So what I think we'll do is split the video here, and in part 2 we'll tackle those steering clutches. And I've looked around online. There's very little information about fixing these old Oliver crawlers. There's, you know, some videos and stuff out there about them operating, but very little about actually fixing them. And yeah, I think it's going to be a nice machine when we get it all sorted out. This engine is fantastic. It runs perfectly. No smoke, seems to have great compression, has power, the governor works, the carburetor. All I really did was just scrape the crap out of the bottom of the bowl. And I didn't show you guys, but the guy who owns this machine, he actually made the emulsion tube in here for the high-speed jet. He machined it out of a piece of brass on a little collet lathe. And the guy is a master machinist, and he did a fantastic job. It runs perfectly like that. And I'm not 100% sure what to make of the whole head gasket issue. I'm confident it does not have a bad head gasket, and that, you know, the replacement job was done correctly. As far as the oil level being too high, I don't know. All I can think is it was overfilled. I don't think it's possible for it to have fuel in the oil. It's an updraft carburetor, so that wouldn't make sense. And the original fuel pump, the old mechanical fuel pump right here, that's all been disabled. They were just running it off of a little gravity feed tank. So yeah, I don't know. And the low coolant level, you know, that's pretty normal for machines that sit for a long time. Usually what happens is the hose clamps just, you know, expansion and contraction from heat and cool. You get a little bit of a leak, and then, you know, over 13 years, eventually you're missing all your coolant. So we're going to get lucky there. The engine's going to be fine. Drivetrain, okay. But the steering clutches, that's a whole other kettle of fish. And then we're going to have some work to do out here in the final drives. There's a lot of bearings and stuff that need to be shimmed and seals that need to be replaced. So we're going to have our work cut out for us. But thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.